Hello, everyone. Sean Higgs coming at you with another Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. Football Friday Live Edition. Marc Lawrence and Matt Fargo joining me this season. Marc was indisposed last week, traveling, picking up a little airport, running around there last week, but he's back. He's ready for another season here. I'm going to jump right into Marc. We'll get to the liking, subscribing. We've got plenty of time to put that notification bell on for our live show. But Marc, good to see you. How's everything going?
Likewise, it's good to see you, Sean, and you, Matt, as well. Everything's going good. Football season's off to a pretty good start here so far, and really looking forward to trying to accustom myself to all these changes, these rule changes and so forth and whatnot, and the stupid NIL and transfer portal. But we're dealing with the cards we're dealt, so we'll do just that.
You know, you're not really much into the baseball, but we've kind of, when we do our little free picks for baseball, which, by the way, 62 and 54 plus 275 with the free picks here on Winner Circle. We do talk about the upcoming seasons and stuff, and just the nil and the playoffs. And again, we haven't talked since the end of last season. You have to think when you're capping these games now with these big schools, where a loss to them, it doesn't make a difference if they lose a game or even two to some of the bigger programs. Have you found, I know it's the first couple weeks, it's usually like cupcakes and stuff like that. But as we move now into conference play, are you going to kind of weigh more on that when you're thinking about maybe taking a road team to upset somebody? Or you know what? Texas can go and lose to Ohio State and still make the playoffs, you know? So-and-so can go lose on a road somewhere and still make the playoffs.
Well, tell that to Billy Napier at Florida that the loss doesn't really matter because he might be an afterthought here pretty soon if he doesn't get his stuff.
That guy's been bad the last 2 years. I mean, you got 5-7 records, losing to South Florida and then LSU, Miami, and Texas A&M in succession. He's got other problems more than just losing to South Florida.
He sure does. My main concern is for these group of five schools that lose all these players to the big boys, to the Sharks. And all they serve as a minor league breeding camp for these guys. And it's really, really difficult for teams like, for instance, really in the MAC conference, which might be the lightest weight of all the group of five conferences. It's hard to keep players there that are playing, that will stay at the program. We see so many of them moving off, taking that money. And Matt, I don't know about you, but I'm just disgusted at the fact that they're buying players. And I'll tell you this, I was in Vegas, signed up for the Superbook contest, and in line behind me was B.J. Simons. He used to be a quarterback at Texas Tech. And he had his Texas Tech gear on. And I says, "Hey, how you doing, man?" He says, "Good." I says, "I see you're a Texas Tech guy." He says, "Oh, yeah, I used to throw the ball there." And I says, "You guys are going to be pretty good this year, from what I understand." He says, "Oh, yeah." He says, "We're going to be real good. We got a booster that's got the deepest of all pockets, and he bought us a real good team this year." What do you say to stuff like that? He bought us a real good team,
Yeah, I mean, Texas Tech is the prime example going into the season. They have, oh my gosh, I forget how many returning starters they have from their old team compared to how many starters they have from other teams. It's like half and half. Yeah. They have 21 players of their 22-man roster that have either started there or started elsewhere. And yeah, I don't know who their booster is, but you're right. They bought the team, and this team has so many expectations. And we'll see what happens next week when they play Utah, who is more of a development.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see next week about that matchup, how it's going to be. And Sean, you brought up about these teams that can lose early on. Like, I think a great example this week could be Notre Dame. They lost game 1 against Miami, had a bye week. Now they play Texas A&M. If they lose this week, they'll be 0-2. But the schedule the rest of the way is pretty tame. They have a couple road games that I think they're at Arkansas and at Pitt, which they'll be favored pretty heavily. They're tricky games, and they host USC. If they lose this week, go 0-2, and then run the table, go 10-2, do you think they'll be in? I think they
absolutely.
Probably
they're Notre Dame. That's not no question. There's no question. It's Notre Dame's got to be in.
Even though the schedule, they will have no huge quality win the rest of the season.
No.
Oh, they've got Notre Dame on the front of their uniform. That might be enough to get them in with 10 wins.
That's it. It's and I don't like that. This is going back to when McCaffrey was like one of the first guys to sit out of a bowl game. Like, I'm going to protect myself. Doesn't make a difference. You've been hurt every year since CMC, this guy. But, I don't know. I feel it takes away from the game, where in the back of their minds, they want to win, but all of a sudden it's a quick out of the gate. You're down 21-0 early, and the coach will be like, all right, you know what? It's not a desperation kind of spot for us. I think it changes the mindset, whether subconsciously or not. It's just bad. And they expand the playoffs specifically for when Alabama loses to Georgia or to A&M or to LSU, so they have 2 losses, or for Penn State and Ohio State and Michigan, or now Oregon is now in that mix of they kind of cannibalize each other and all take a loss somehow. But you know what? You'll all be here in the end. We're a big, happy family because we're the 2 top conferences, and our top 4 teams in each are going to get in no matter what. It's not good.
Yep. You make a great point. Like next week, actually it's not next week. There's a bye next week. Alabama has a bye. The week after next, Alabama, Georgia play. Does it mean anything? No, it's not going to mean anything. Whereas 2 years ago, before the expanded playoffs, it meant a lot. Now it's not going to mean
everything.
That can mean
it's when look aheads mattered and letdowns also mattered, and it's not so much these days, right?
Yep, exactly.
I feel you have to kind of look at that a little bit more when jumping into looking at games now to bet on them and stuff. And Mark, back to your point, you're talking about like the MAC teams losing guys. Why wouldn't they go and take $300,000 from some SEC school or ACC, right? Like, but on the flip side of that, if you're a good player, a solid player, you might get drafted. You play there 4 years. You're a defensive player of the year in the MAC. All right, it's not as sexy as playing in the SEC, but you know what? Instead of being a 6th-round SEC defensive lineman draft, you might be a 4th rounder out of another conference because you're just better than everybody else, and it moves you up a little bit, And then you get to the draft guys like, oh, this guy's got a motor on him. The coaches love him, and you're a 3rd-round pick with a better contract than going to a bigger school.
It reminds me a little bit, and I may have shared this last year. I don't recall because I don't recall what I had for dinner last night right now at the moment. But last year I was at my barber getting a haircut, and a young kid just got out of the chair, and he was thanking me, yada, yada, yada. And he says to me, he says, you know who that is? I says, no, who is that? And he gave me his name. He says, well, who is he? He says, well, he's a sophomore, and he just signed an NIL contract for $250,000 to go play tackle at a group of 5 program. Okay. Here's a kid getting out of the chair that I didn't even know if he had a driver's license, and he had just inked a $250,000 contract. It's like, wow, what's going on here?
Must be nice. Good for, listen, do some of these kids deserve to get paid? And the joke is now that everybody gets paid, Alabama's just an average team, right? I think you should get a little something. The NCAA, whether in football or during a tournament for basketball, they make a ton of money off the kids, right? You should be able to get a little something I'm on the side of also you're getting a free education, and just the people you're meeting opens up a lot of doors. If you keep your head straight and just graduate, you're going to fall into some kind of booster's job with a no-show thing for the rest of your life at $100,000 and you'd be set. But that's a whole nother thing. But they should get money. Is it crazy? Some of these things, I think the Texas schools are really going to take off if they get the recruiting right, because they got the money here. These guys, the people down here, Mark, and you're in Florida, it's the same way down there. The people, whether high school level or college level, they are 1,000,000,000% behind their schools. Die hard, everything goes. Even these small ones. I'm shocked that like Rice hasn't taken a step forward a little bit more. Or SMU, I think, is going to be a big program eventually because they got more money than I think Texas does. They got some cash down here, these schools.
Well, big time money for Texas. And, we followed the trail all the while. These coaches that coach these high school programs, and they win continuously. They start out at Texas schools, colleges, the smaller schools, Texas State, UTSA, Traylor, because they came from winning football programs. So that's all in their blood. It's all in their DNA. And now the question is it even going to matter as far as recruiting goes? Georgia had led the country in recruiting 5 years in a row. That's why Georgia is who Georgia was. Now Georgia's beginning to slip. We know why, okay? Because it doesn't matter. There's money that's taking the place of the kids that they're recruiting. And I'm just wondering, how much are we going to put into recruiting rankings for these college football programs? Because all they're going to do is plug and play.
Yep. This is like free agency.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Which I don't even mind that much, though, Matt. Right? You can say, okay, you're going to get a guy or two. We need a receiver. We got a big lineman or something, or a graduate quarterback. But come on, so 47 guys.
Yeah, I mean, you bring a good point about Texas. Texas, the same as Florida, same as California. These schools, their homegrown talent is unmatchable, but they're going to get the money and they can spend it. And is it going to come to a point where they're going to have to cap schools like the NFL? You have to have a salary cap, spending cap, whatever. And what's going to happen to Clemson? Dabo Swinney doesn't do the NIL. He recruits, and all his players are homegrown. He doesn't do the NIL. He's going to have to eventually, right? He's going to have to catch up. I mean, very limited, yeah. And obviously teams like Army, Navy, they don't go through it. And look at what they did last year. It's possible to win without it, but I think it's going to come to a point where these schools are going to have to keep spending just to catch up with the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Texases, who are going to just spend a ton of money and buy their teams going forward.
Well, that's when Texas Tech makes the playoffs, and all of a sudden, all the word's going to be about how much money they spent, where it all went, and everybody loves to do what a winner does. They'll be snapping the bankroll. These backers will for these kids to come to the programs.
Yep.
I see our loyal guy Mar is back. He's ready to go. Saying hello, everybody. Wishes someone would invest in his Cal Bears. 2.5-point dogs there in Minnesota. What do you think about? This is just a random game since not a lot of comments here. YouTube has been having some problems today with comments, so we're going to see how the comment section goes. We might just be rambling on for about a half hour. I kind of like Cal in this spot, right? You got Minnesota, travel spot, but they did win in UCLA last year. What do you feel about PJ Fleck, Mark?
I like Cal in this football game here. I'm a big Justin Wilcox fan. I think this is the right spot. Minnesota's gotten off to a pretty decent start, and now they got to go play the new kids on the block, California, out on the West Coast to do just that. Cal now in the ACC, but you got a Big Ten ACC matchup here. I think this is a ripe spot for California to pull an upset.
Mark, do you got any thoughts on this guy?
And who's that, Sean?
Matt.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think it's a great spot for Cal. The new realignment of the Big Ten. You see the schools from East going West and West going East. They struggle. And granted, this isn't a conference game, but Minnesota going out West after barely beating. I think they played Buffalo week 1, and they rolled. I think it was Northwestern State last week. 66-0. And it was again that game was called because of weather in the fourth quarter. It could have even gotten worse. I think Cal's a sleeper team this year. They last year they were first year in the ACC they lost. I think they were 2-6, and some of their losses they had I think 4 or 5 one possession losses. So they were close to being a decent team, and they have experience this year. And I think it's a great spot for Cal this week with Minnesota coming in feeling good about themselves. Fleck's a good coach, but he's never taken the Gophers over the top
next level. Right.
Next level, exactly. Yeah, and are they going to get up for Cal? Yeah, maybe. But I think it's a great spot for Cal, especially getting points. I agree with that.
Mars also he thinks Texas Tech rolls this weekend. Took them first half -13. Oregon State's horrible. Yeah, this line here is a 23.5. I actually took the overs. I got 60.5. It's up to 62 now, even 62.5. I think they put up points. This is like the old air raid style team. Why do I feel like this could be like them dropping a 56 spot themselves in this one?
Well, look at these monster stats that Tech has put up. I know they've been the sisters of the poor. A group of 5 Kent State team was barely a group of 5 team.
Oh my goodness.
Arkansas Pine Bluff, I guess maybe you had to dismiss those stats, but put up 60 points in both games and 600 yards in both games. So they're for real. Would I lay points like this? I don't know if I would with the conference opener up next for Texas Tech. could be late in the game, the fourth quarter, and you could see a lot of the starters sitting on the bench. Maybe doesn't want to show all the playbook this particular week. I'll pass in the game just because I don't lay those kind of points to that kind of lumber personally.
Yeah, I mean, 23.5 is big. I think, like you mentioned, you got Utah on deck. Oregon State's not all that great. I mean, look at it. They got 2 losses. They lost to Fresno and Cal. We were just speaking of Cal here. I think first half would be the way to look at this game. Come out fast. They drop right. I mean, would you be shocked if this game is 38 or 40 to 6 at halftime, Matt?
I would be. Yeah, actually, would be. Oregon State isn't as bad as they looked last week. They outgained Fresno 528 to 318. They outgained it by over 200 yards. It was mistakes. They had turnovers. They turnover on downs. It was just mistakes from the Beavers. And you brought up a point about Texas Tech. They have Utah on deck. What I can't get a grasp on Texas Tech yet because, as Marc mentioned, they played Nolan. They played Kent State, who shouldn't be FBS, and they played another FCS team. So, yeah, huge numbers, but they haven't played anyone. And maybe Oregon State isn't for real. But, when you put up 528 yards against a team and lose, you know what happened. They kicked themselves in the butt, and I think they'll be ready to play this week. I think it'll be a lot closer than people think.
That's the home loss, and that's after they lost 34-15 at home to Cal.
Yeah.
If you can't,
but they played really good yardage in that football game, Sean. They only lost by, I think, 23 yards in the contest. So the score, the cuffs and collars didn't match in that sense for Oregon State. They could be a little bit better than perhaps maybe their record indicates.
If they hold on to the ball, but I mean, if you got back-to-back, you turn the ball over a couple times in a 20-point home loss, you straighten that up the next game.
Yes, you do. You better.
It didn't happen. It did happen. It's funny. Yeah. Marc Lawrence probably has a great play. This could very well be his game of the year here. Tampa Bay Cubbies. You like the under there, Marc? You're a big baseball guy.
The first question I'll ask you, Sean, is who are they playing? Okay.
The Rays and Cubs in Chicago. I kind of like the Rays in this one, believe it or not. I like the Rays. Raven wants to know K-State tonight versus Arizona. Speaking of teams that kind of like shoot themselves in the foot, Kansas State. Oh boy, that how do you lose to Army like that? How? Army had the ball. Doug Upstone brought this up on Monday. 28 minutes of the 30 in the second half. 28 minutes. There's only 30 minutes and a half, folks.
Does it surprise you that to see a military team upset somebody as a double-digit underdog?
That's not shocking at all.
No, not really.
No.
Were they looking ahead in this football game to Arizona? Who knows? It's a conference game. That's about all it is. I thought they were better than they're playing right now at 1-2. They probably need this game more than Arizona does. They need to level the record is what they really need to do because a lot was expected from Kansas State this year.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stay out of this football game and make them prove it to me before I put any money on them.
Yeah,
I like it over. Go ahead, Matt. What did you say? I'm sorry.
No, I totally agree with that. Like, with K-State, they came in as one of the – I mean, the Big 12 is kind of wide open, but they came in as one of the, the top tier teams to possibly take it. But they go to Ireland, they lose to Iowa State. They come home, no bye, played North Dakota, barely beat North Dakota. They won the last drive of the game within the last minute. And then you lose to an Army team who lost to Charleston State the previous week in overtime. Like it's crazy. Like Army goes from losing to an FCS team to going on the road and beating a Big 12 team. The dynamic of college football can be crazy sometimes. So my thing is like, what kind of state is Kansas State in right now? Mind wise, what's the locker room like? They could very well be 0-3 right now. And were they looking ahead to Arizona? No, there's no way. There's no way they could be looking ahead to Arizona. It's not a rivalry at all. It's not even a conference game right now. So it's not like this is a non-conference game, even though they're in the same conference. But I just the state of the Wildcats right now, is Avery Johnson any good? I don't know. I truly don't know. I know, right? It's just I don't know. This is a team. This is one of those teams where you're just not really sure what kind of mindset they're in right now, and whether they're more talented than Arizona. I'm sure they are, but the first road game, they're not going to get my money. That's for sure.
There may be problems there, Matt, as you mentioned. They lost 3 of their last 4 regular season games last year, and they're starting out slow here this year. That sounds like trouble to me within the program. Kleiman is really, really a good head coach, or thought to be a good head coach. I think he can pull them out of this funk here, can Chris Kleiman. But we're going to see down the road. He's got Central Florida on deck behind that, and then Baylor. Then he'll get into the meat and potatoes of the schedule. So a win here is almost imperative for Kansas State, if you will. But I don't know if I'm interested in getting to the game or joining the party.
There you go. Little K-State, Arizona action. You're watching Winner Circle YouTube channel live, Twitter, and on YouTube. Comments, you just type in there. We'll get to them. Be sure to hit the like button if you're on YouTube. Subscribe, notification on, so you know when we do our Football Friday live show. And, of course, all the other free pick videos during the week. MLB, NBA, college hoops, WNBA, NFL, college football, the whole kit and caboodle be rolling full steam ahead here with playoffs coming and stuff like that. So give it a little check out there. Jets, anything Friday night? You got anything going on the site-wise today with college football there, Matt or Mark?
Yeah, I have one premium going tonight. Decent slate. We talked about Colorado, Houston, Sean, the other day. It should be a decent game there. Can UCLA get going? Can Nico get going tonight? I don't know. Is New Mexico live? I think it could be a live dog. I don't have that game, but I'd like to see New Mexico go in and win that game. Just out of spite. Just for Nico.
15.
Right his mouth all off season. Turned down $4 million in Tennessee, or actually Tennessee turned him down. He wanted $4 million, so he went to UCLA. And so far, he has not panned out. But anyway, yeah, one premium tonight. I have 10 games up for sale tomorrow. Big card for tomorrow, and I'll have my NFL up later this afternoon for Sunday.
Well,
15-point bogey in that UCLA one, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, I cut you off there with the UCLA spring.
No problem. As Matt mentioned, I've got all my plays loaded for the weekend. I'm featuring a big college football underdog game of the month here. I think it's another live dog that I think can win the game. And basically, I'm a dog lover, and the first thing I look for are dogs that can pull upsets. And if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm not, they can at least hang a number if the handicap is right. And we've had great success with plays like that. That's loaded right now on the site. And big play in the NFL on Sunday as well.
There you go. Go get again, free picks are the free picks, folks. Come in here, give us your. We give you our thoughts and who we think will win or cover or spread wise, total wise, whatever. But our best bets are always at gamblersworld.net. So go support the channel and the guys here and get a premium package, 3-day package, guaranteed show you profit. We credit you back. Go get it. Perfect for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday there, or that's 4 days, but. You can do Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever floats your boat there. John, good to see you. Happy football season. East Carolina up to an 8. This was, a 4 on an opener there? Mark, this opened at 4. It's gone up quite a bit here. Well, East Carolina's been feisty. Almost knocked off NC State. Big win last week. Coastal, not so much. Not so much. Any thoughts on this guy?
It's unusual. You got a battle of the Carolinas, and usually there's a redheaded stepchild playing a big boy whenever there's battles within the state. Neither of these two guys are big boys inside of the state of Carolina. So, as you mentioned, East Carolina has been feisty. They put up some really, really good numbers last week, albeit Campbell, but they were still good numbers that they put up. They've not turned the ball over yet this football season. So it looks as if they're a pretty well-coached football team here. First-year head coach Blake Harrell. And Coastal, as you said, Sean, is down a titch here. I don't know what's going on with that program. They were really made, they upset quite a few people. But then I think they lost their head coach. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was, who was it? Jamie Chadwell. Yeah, he left the program. And since he's left, they've kind of come back to the pack, if you will.
I mean, 48-7 to Virginia. I get it, Matt. You're playing Virginia, you'll lose, but you allow almost 50 points to Virginia. And then the next week, 13-0 Charleston Southern. That's what you get up on a team as a 30-point favorite. 13 points.
Didn't
3-0 at the half.
Didn't Vanderbilt beat Charleston Southern like 60-something to nothing? Or am I thinking of another Charleston team? I don't know. I think Vanderbilt crushed them, and they only won by a score of 13-0. They lose to Virginia by 41 points. The same Virginia team that almost beat NC State last week, who almost lost to East Carolina the week before. A lot of interchangeable dynamics in this game. But yeah, I mean, ECU on the road. I mean, man, this program used to be really, really good. I don't know if I could trust laying points on the road with this team, laying a touchdown. I don't know if I could trust them at all.
More, we're up to now. You're up to need like a 10. You need a 10-point win in this one, and it was 45-3. Vandy beat up on these Coastal teams.
45-3. Okay.
Or excuse me, against Charleston Southern. That Coastal just dropped a big 13-piece at home on after.
Right.
You get smoked by 48 by a big school, you usually come back and have a dominant performance, a la East Carolina. You lose a close game to NC State, you come home, you beat up your little tomato can that you had on deck for an easy kind of cakewalk. Now, not in Coastal's case, they say, you know what, let's play another stressful game down to the wire here and barely hold on to win. And now you got upstart, and I'm using that as a term as they had a close loss and a blowout, and then, hey, let's go in there and beat up an in-state team as well, lower tier. I could see East Carolina winning by 2 scores here.
Well, you got 2 teams in the opposite end of the turnover ladder here too. You got Coastal Carolina's 8 turnovers they've lost. They've lost the turnovers 8-1 this year. And you look at the other side of the coin here, East Carolina has not turned the ball over yet. So if they play that clean game, it could continue that way for the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was talking about the Oregon State. Like you have it in 1 game's a bad thing. 2 games in a row, is it more of the coaching and what's going on in practices and the discipline and stuff like that? Who knows? Gavin wants to know thoughts on Clemson. Here we go. Here's the squad here, right? Talk about taking a loss. This line here, 7 down to 3.5. 3.5. Would I take a stab on Georgia Tech? Yeah, I probably would, just based on what I saw out of Clemson. You losing to LSU is not all that bad. You follow it up though with a lackluster performance, to say the least. I mean, you were down 17-0 that game, or whatever they were down 12, whatever the score was. You rallied back for 29 unanswered, but that is not a good look off a loss to come out that slow. I expect a little more from a quote-unquote Heisman kind of candidate at quarterback, and you're down 16-0 to Troy before you even before you even wake up.
Well, this is a program that's really under the heat right now. A lot was expected from Clemson early this season. They ranked number 1 overall in returning production rankings in the country coming in. They're supposed to have been played a lot better here, and they're not. But is this a case of the obvious, and the obvious being that Georgia Tech has gotten off to this really good start, Clemson off to this really slow start? This number gets banged down because of it. So the bottom line, is there value here to Clemson? I know they've beaten this team like a pulp in the past. So do you want to make that case for Clemson to finally play a good football game? I don't like to bet on teams that finally play a good game when they haven't done that yet this year, but that keeps me out of the contest here. I just don't like the way the number moved in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the best number is gone, and usually when the line is gone, you should move on. You know why people took them. Like you hit it clearly. Big 7-point dog, and we take a home dog playing better than a team on the road. I mean, this spot here, though, I could take it or leave it, Matt.
Yeah, I agree. They started off down 16-0 to Detroit last week. They won the yardage battle by like 16 yards against the Trojans, who are not a good football. They're not even one of the top teams in the Sun Belt this year. They used to be, but not anymore. So that was just a bad game. When the lines first came out, I was really thinking about Georgia Tech, but as Marc mentioned, the line is the value's gone. The number has been beat down. I still like Georgia Tech, but not. I don't want to take them with this number, but I'm not going to take Clemson, as Marc also mentioned, to wait for that good game.
Exactly.
You can't bet on a team hoping they're going to finally get that good game. You need them to get that good game first, and then ride that.
Man, if you saw signs from Clemson, losing games but winning yardage really good, strong, turnovers rate maybe tripping them up, but playing a lot better on in the stats and on the scoreboard, maybe you make that case. But I don't see it from Clemson here yet this year.
Yeah, I had Clemson week 1 against LSU. Obviously, they lost. Thinking, the club that just a very veteran team, very very experienced team,
Yeah.
and they didn't look good. And then you see LSU last week playing Louisiana Tech, favored by 38 or something silly, and they struggled. They struggled early on in that game. So, is LSU really that good, or is Clemson really that bad? When you look at like a comparable game the following week, LSU didn't look good against not a very good Louisiana Tech team. And did that make Clemson look even worse? But this is a team, there's no way I would lay any sort of number on the road with Clemson right now. Georgia Tech, with Georgia Tech's quarterback, he didn't play last week. And he's kind of banged up. He's the type of quarterback where he needs to run, 15 times a game to keep that offense going. And
does that make sense to you then, Matt? If the quarterback didn't play, he's doubtful here and the number goes down?
That could be the case, but I've read that he's going to play. I've read he's going to play. Yeah, I think people are betting Clemson, thinking like you said, this is the game they finally show up. But,
well, like I was just saying about the Coastal game. I'll say the same about the Clemson game here. You lose a game, you should come out strong the next game. You got to get that taste out of your mouth and get fresh again. They started out 60-0. LSU kind of just went through the motions for an easy win. Were they looking for, again, both teams with bigger foes on deck, Florida and Georgia Tech, rivals, whatever. But when you come off a bad game, and I say that for when we're talking about the Oregon State game, you'd expect a positive start, whether it's a score in the first quarter or a nice first half. You got none of that from any of these teams that played poorly. Nothing. Just the games you talked about. Okay, Coastal, Oregon State, and Clemson, 3 totally different programs on 3 totally different spectrums, but all off of bad games came out and performed poorly again.
Is that coaching? Is that what it is? So what it's all, or are they just bad teams, overrated teams?
Clemson could Clemson be overrated? They're the most experienced bunch. You got a quarterback people love. I don't know.
Second choice in the Heisman before the season began, right?
Yeah.
Link wants to shift gears here. Bears ended up being terrible last week. Shocker. I'm not a Bears guy. I'm not a huge Viking guy. I had the under in that game, Mark. I mean, are you kidding me? Talk about losing a rough one there. I don't know what happened there. I don't like the quarterbacks. I think they need time to grow still. And the way the NFL is, they're never going to get a time to grow because there'll be a new head coach here in 2 years, and he'll be looking for his guy to run the show. So, Bears. Listen, I got the Bears under, Mark. What do you think about the Bears this year? I'm not a Bears guy.
I'm going to say that the football gods, they owe me a little bit this week, okay? My 3 football plays last week, Baltimore Ravens, Atlanta Falcons, Chicago Bears. I mean, those are 3 brutal losses.
All you had to say was you had the over in the Thursday night game, and you had the 41 in the first half, can't go over 44.
Right. But
yeah, you're definitely on the rebound for some a trend back, a little regression to the means there with those losses.
No question. And the best thing that I've seen in the National Football League over the years is easily you're never as good as you look the first week of the season, and you're never as bad as you look the first week of the football season. Yep. It all regresses to the mean almost immediately in game 2. And the people don't realize that. They want to go out, they want to lay with both fists on teams that win big, and they want to just fade the teams that got beat up bad. So let's just see how that turns out this week. I think you're going to see a little bit of evening out per se this week in the NFL.
Yep, week two in the NFL is always overreaction week, right? Everybody, like you said, everybody's going to fade the teams that played horrible and ride the teams that played great. And for the people that rode Green Bay who played great against Detroit, they got it again. So that one did come through last night. But as far as the Bears go, I think we touched upon it, Sean, on Tuesday. Caleb Williams, he is a different quarterback when he's winning or when he's losing. If he's up, he's winning. His demeanor is good, but when he's behind, he's just a different quarterback. He's a different person. He shrugs his shoulders. He looks like mentally he's just not into it. And
like he's
whether he's whether he's a great talent, sure, but part of his issue is the mental aspect of it. Seems like when he gets down, and it hurts his whole team.
We talked about the overreaction, and that's always, whether it's week 1, week 13, doesn't make a difference. There's always the overreaction on the Monday morning quarterbacks. Cincinnati line, 5.5 down to 3.5. Baltimore, 13 down to 11. Dallas, 3 up to a 5.5. I mean, any other kind of crazy moves here? San Fran is a move, but that's based on an injured quarterback, 7 down to 3. Denver, 3.5 to a 1. And Minnesota, 5 down to a 3.5. Now, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, that move there makes sense because I don't know why they should be favored anyway by that kind of number. And why the heck we got these two teams on a Sunday night, it's a whole nother thing. But back to, you see those line moves, Mark, overreactions or
a little bit of both, Sean. A little bit of overreaction, but also the Sharps. The Sharps dig deep into the stats of these football teams. And, they saw Minnesota win a game that they got out-yarded in. They saw Atlanta lose a game that they out-yarded their opponent. You get a collision of those two things coming in the same game. They're going to go back the phony stat teams, okay? The teams that outperform their numbers. That would be Minnesota twice in that football game. You mentioned Cincinnati. That number comes down. The Browns beat them over 100 yards in the football game. Who wants to hurry up and go out and bet Cincinnati after a performance like that? I just don't get it.
And you have to his history. And his history in the first couple weeks of the season.
On top of it, right, exactly. But you have to, just like a doctor, man, you got to take a look at these stats like an X-ray. Put them up on the machine, look at in the game, and look at those stats like you're looking at X-rays and see if you see anything right, something wrong, or so forth and whatnot. That's what the Sharps do. That's exactly what they do right out of the gate. That and injuries. Those are there are two factors that they look at early on in the week.
I tend to agree with most of those things. And this is, I don't know how early you get down on games. I get down relatively. I'm on 2 games for week 3 already for NFL, because I think I want to read the tea leaves what I think will happen for the next week. And I bet my games for Sunday on Saturday and Sunday of last week. Added a couple on like Tuesday, but you can get ahead of some of these numbers if you kind of think how the NFL plays out. And
did you end up with value on those early plays, Sean, or did you take a hit because of the results of what happened last week?
No, I had good numbers. It wasn't bad. Let me where's my little pad here from last week? Because I don't remember who I bet. What did we have here? I had the Vegas Giants loser. I had a 7.5 on the Giants. So that was a better number than what it had. Still lost. I had Philly 6.5. Carolina 3 was a loser. Jets under. San Fran I had minus 125. So that went up. That was bounced around a little bit. And I had Green Bay minus 125 too early. Those weren't really crazy for week 1. Now, this week here, I think I got some different numbers. So I had Green Bay minus 1, Detroit 4.5, Dallas I got at 3, Tennessee I got at 5.5, Arizona I got at 4, the Titans under I got at 45.5, Jaguars I got plus 5.5, Jets 8.5. I mean, I've better like next week. I got who next? I got Arizona plus 2.5 versus San Fran next week. And I think that game, Arizona's going to go off as the favorite on that game with no quarterback. I think Arizona will be the favorite next week.
Well, look at what you bet there, Sean. And one question I have to ask is Dallas minus 3. Did you consider Dallas on a money line, knowing that Dallas is going to get bumped up, but the number is going to move up from there? Now you got to basically pick on a money line, and then you can come and half that off with a big, large dog, and you create yourself a pretty nice middle there.
I should probably do different my thinking between little faves in NFL like that up to like a 140, 150, 160. I just can't separate laying like 140, 150s in baseball and laying that kind of number in the NFL. two totally different sports, and I should do them totally different. Like you said it right there perfectly. I can have Dallas with a short number on money line there, and come back with a big dog on the Giants or whoever the case may be. I just don't like laying. When baseball comes 140, I go right to a run line. I'm going to say, I'm going to show you I'm smarter than you. I'm going to do a run line plus 135 instead of laying 145. I end up taking a loss instead of getting a win. I try to change. It's difficult to change. I mean, it is. You got a couple of years. I mean, how hard is it to change the way you think and do things after times? It is tough. I try to, and it is difficult. Sometimes I do it. I'll take a favorite that's a 150 or something, and I'm kicking myself when it loses. Now I got to win two. If I had a run line, it's even money loser. I know what I should do, but I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn with it.
Well, our good friend Jim Feist, who's here on the site, we were doing our podcast together, and he explained to me and the audience that listened out there, one of his favorite betting ploys is to look at these short favorites and play them on a money line, basically anything less than 3. Instead of laying 2.5, play the money line. Instead of laying 2, play the money line. Rather than getting nipped in a football game, especially in a game where, they fall 3 more often than anything else. So that's the theory and the thought behind that. But like you say, you're patterned to not doing that in the National Football League because we're dealing with odds. In baseball, we're dealing with money lines.
Yeah. And also for that, though, looking at next week's football, right? If we're going to look ahead to those kind of games with 2-point favorites, whether they're home or away. Like next week's schedule, you got the Colts are 2.5-point favorites on the road. Atlanta's 2.5-point favorites on the road. Minnesota's 1.5-point favorite at home. Pittsburgh a 1-point favorite on the road.
A lot of shorties.
Jacksonville 1.5-point favorite on the road. 2.5-point favorite at home. The Chargers 1.5-point favorite at home. Chicago. 1.5-point favorite, San Francisco. Like then all of a sudden, instead of if you liked a couple games, say you like 3 or 4 games, now you're at 9 games.
9 money line games for Jim.
You know what I'm saying? Like, does he just do home game? Are they just home teams, or does he do the road team in that spot as well?
Well, I think if you're doing the favorite, obviously that's what we're talking about. The dogs.
You got to do them all. You can't pick and choose because then you're like, damn it, what the hell did I do here? Then you're. Because you know as well as I do, and Matt knows, you do one and not the other, you're losing that game and the other one's winning. I'm going to do this one, not the other 3. You're 0-1 and the other one's go 3-0, and you're like all annoyed for the week.
I would rather play the dog at plus 2.5 than the money line to the dog at plus 130. Okay, as a for instance, because you got room to hang at 2.5. Favorites though, you don't have room to hang. That's why you got to do that short money line.
Yeah,
I agree.
And they get in that 24-23 game, right, man? And also like, look at this. Now I'm losing all different directions now.
Yeah. Sean, I give you credit for betting the games next week. I can't do that. I am someone who needs to. I don't know how you describe it. I need to know what happened the week before I can touch any team. Like next week, I'm looking at the slate, and Chicago is 1.5 to 2 points favored against Dallas at home. There's no way I would touch that game until I see the results from this past week. 2 teams that you just don't know anything about. And
I want to see the stats also, right? The results.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Granted, you could be getting great numbers. Like we mentioned about the Clemson Georgia Tech game. You bet early in the week. You bet Georgia Tech. You're getting a great number. Now it's gone. So it's smart to do it sometimes. Yeah. But I just need to see stuff before. I just need to see.
I said Green Bay last night. I got 13 games NFL Sunday this week. All right. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going 14-0. I already got one in my pocket with Green Bay. So I'll go 14-0 this Sunday and Monday included. And I'm looking at next week's game. Like Pittsburgh, 1 point over New England. My brain says I'm taking Pittsburgh because I got a better quarterback. I got the established coach. I like Dallas. I got the quarterback. Maybe not the coach, but I think they're the better team talent-wise. Atlanta, that would just be a no play for me. I'd probably lean Carolina because they're going to be coming off bad losses in their home, and Atlanta's back-to-back road game, short week. I'd look there. But then all of a sudden, my just the way I usually think, or not think, or just use my gut or instincts or just me betting since 1990, I got to take the Bears. The Bears are winning. The Patriots are winning. Like any team that you don't think is going to win is absolutely going to win. So I should be on New England. I should be on the Bears. I should be on, Jacksonville over Houston with a short line. Like anywhere it looks like it's not going to happen, I should be taking the Giants plus 6.5 or plus 6 versus Kansas City on Sunday Night Football, right? The thing that looks the obvious is never the most obvious. And if I just go with
the ABO theory, always beware of the obvious.
Right. I mean, it's low-hanging fruit. How did that work out in the Garden? No, Eve ate the fruit and screwed up the whole world. You can't look at a game and be like, this is an easy winner. It's not the easy winner. That's the biggest loser on the board.
Yep.
I will take every game that I think has no shot at winning like I did. I took the Giants, I took Carolina, I had all these dogs week 1. I ended up splitting out, or maybe 5-3, whatever I did. You're more – and people, I think, Mark, and you know this from years and years, and Matt the same, they look at it as a Sunday. Like, look at this. Oh, man, I went 4-1 today or 0-4. I don't look at it that way. I could take crappy teams and go 3-6 this week, and next week they go 6-2, and then it's a 4-1, and then it's a 4-4 week. But they're not one. I got to push them all together after 100, 150, 200 games, and then you have your meal to eat. I don't look at it as one day or 1 week. Not the way I bet. I can't, because I'm taking stuff that would make a Billy go puke, as he said in Rambo. Like, oh my God, you like the Giants on Sunday night versus the Chiefs? Yeah. Giants will probably win next Sunday night, folks. There you go. You get a crazy upset here for Giants over the Chiefs Sunday Night Football. How about that?
Well, they're all battles, Sean. You're not trying to win the war. You're just trying to win the battle. Is all you're trying to do.
Exactly.
Right.
But people don't look at it that way, Mark. People look at it as it's everything's in play for today. You can't take that game. All right. I don't know, man. The most easiest game, it might win today, right? Okay. But span that out over a week, maybe you're 500. Maybe you're below 500.
Yeah. Like last week, I was on Cleveland last week, getting 5, I think it was, 4 at home against Cincinnati. And then looking at it this week, I'm not touching them going against Baltimore. It's a totally different situation. You have to look at every week as a different situation.
Prime example, 5.5. Why they're 5.5 people? Who's everything's like the quarterback over here? Who's it? That a 5.5? That opened at 6.5. I'd be like, all right, you'd probably lean Cincy there a little bit. Normals 5.5 numbers. We all know in this chat those 5.5s are they're luring you into your death. Talk about a honeypot. Stay away. The 5.5s are death on a stick.
Yeah, they're all dead numbers. 5s are absolute dead number.
Yep.
Easy enough. They just got to win by a touchdown. They can't win by a touchdown. That's all I hear in my head. They can't win by a touchdown. They're 2.5. They can't just. It's a field goal. Yeah, all right, thank you. I'll take the dog there. Thanks for that one. I feel like Richard Dreyfuss in Let It Ride, where he walks around with the thing where he's like, "Well, who do you like today in the 4? Oh, the 4 horse. Oh no, he's dead. Oh, thank you." And he just crosses off everybody says, when it comes down to it. Oh, I got the winner. Look at that.
Here, Sean, I'll give you a number that is kind of staggering, and this is out of my database. The 3s, how popular the 3s are, because more games fall 3 than any other number, and that's the reason. But if you had played National Football League every dog of plus 2.5 against every dog of plus 3, you would have made more money betting the dog of plus 2.5 than you would have at plus 3. The reason being, the dog at plus 2.5 is the better team.
I was going to say he's probably winning outright too. As the dog at 3, you might get a push out of.
Right wins, a lot of them, yes, exactly.
And I know it's changed over the years. I always feel like if a team isn't a home team, if they're not like a 2.5, if they can't be 3 at home, I'm taking a dog. Like so, 2.5s and 6.5s. I feel I'm always taking a dog in that spot because everybody thinks it's a field goal, it's a touchdown. And on the flip side, the 3.5 and 7.5s, people are like, I love that hook. Where I'm thinking that's a 10-point win minimum.
Well, a good friend of mine, Howard Eskin from Philadelphia, he says that line's telling me something. That line's telling me something. And when you get lines that look weird or queer like that, they do just that. They tell you something. They're there for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Right. One great example this week is Carolina, Arizona. Arizona's minus 6.5.
Yep.
Arizona's the play, right? No. I'm not touching this game, but that line right there is telling me it's either Carolina or nothing. In my opinion, based on that line.
Now, if you saw that as the opener at 4.5, would you take Arizona 4.5, or would you take Carolina at 4.5?
Arizona.
Especially knowing they're going to be 6.5.
Right. You know it's going to go up.
Right.
And what are the New York Giants doing? What are the New York Giants doing playing on Sunday Night Football, by the way?
Yeah, I want to get into Minnesota and Atlanta on a Sunday night. We got maybe it'll be the Jackson Dart show on Sunday night.
I hope so.
Not yet, but maybe second half. You never know if he stinks up the joint again.
Yeah, as a Giants fan, as you can see, I hope we see Jackson Dart second half this week for sure.
We got John. Let's talk about the Colorado Houston. He likes Houston take 4.5. So I guess do we have a final verdict on the quarterback? Because I know Dion had been using all three guys last week. So this is, these are 4. I see 4, 4.5s, and 5s right now for this game, Mark. Any way, me being under and then probably lean a little Houston.
Well, from a Monday night perspective, the setup is obviously here to Houston. They're home off the loss. The other guy's off the win. That sort of gets you to start making the case for the Houston Texans in the football game.
This is Houston College.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking NFL. I'm thinking 3 quarterbacks. What?
Oh no, yeah. Oh. Coach Prime used 3 guys last week against Delaware.
Oh, okay, against Colorado. I don't think Coach Prime knows what he wants to do with these quarterbacks. He went out and paid a lot of money to bring Caden Salter in there, and he didn't impress him enough, and he went to the bench twice in the football game. I don't know what you're going to end up with Colorado this year. They played a really over-their-head type of football last year. A lot of that may have been Shadur Sanders. A lot of it might have been the Heisman Trophy winning wide receiver, defensive back. But I think Colorado's in for a downturn this football season here. And when you have 3 quarterbacks playing in the game at the same time, that's a signal that something's not right with the program.
Like I said,
by coach's choice too, not by injuries, by coach's choice.
Yes. If you have 3 or 2, you really have none, right, Matt?
Yeah.
Exactly. If you have 3 quarterbacks, you have none. That's exactly right. That is 100%. And the thing with Colorado, I don't know if I even brought this up when we talked about it on it was a Tuesday show. They beat Delaware 31-7, right? They outgained the Blue Hens by 2 yards the whole game. 2 yards. That game should have been a lot closer. Delaware turned the ball over twice inside the Colorado 8-yard line, and inside the 8-yard line twice, 1 on downs, 1 on a fumble, and then turned it over inside the Colorado territory 2 other times. So, Colorado had no business winning that game by 24 points. And Willie Fritz, I love Willie Fritz. I think he's going to do a great job at Houston. And the way this line is moving right now, I love the Cougars tonight.
Well, Colorado got blasted in their first game, too. I mean, they lose the yards, almost 200 yards in that football game. Like I'm saying, there's something not right in the state of Colorado, and it worries Deion Sanders, and we're seeing that right now.
Yep.
Bengals, we kind of talked about the Bengals and Jags a little bit with the line move there. Again, you got a better number earlier. It's come down. This kind of makes sense between the way they played and just their history of starting early under Zach Taylor. And I'm not shocked this line came down. Although I'm not a big Jaguar fan, I had Carolina last week, so that says a lot about me. But you guys got any thoughts on this one here? Or is this again, talk about a little too good to be true? Joe Burrow's going to throw 50 touchdown passes, and 3.5 at home.
Matt, I know Matt commented on that before.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Like Cincinnati, what they have 7 yards in the second half last week?
No, pathetic.
That's insane. That's crazy. And I don't know what to think about Jacksonville. They had that weather delay. I don't know if that really affected anything or not, but they beat a bad Carolina team. Or is Carolina really that bad, or is Jacksonville really that good? I don't know yet. With a new head coach, it's hard to get a tell on this team. They're talking about how they were working with Trevor Lawrence and his footwork and all sorts of stuff in the offseason. Apparently, he's a new quarterback now.
Well, the head coach is a former quarterback. He was. I think he broke records. Was it Massachusetts where he played? He threw for a ton.
Really?
Yes, he did. So he should be beneficial to Trevor Lawrence. Maybe we saw a little bit of that in the first game. This could be a football team that might stay under the radar a little bit and then emerge. Mm-hmm. And they live in a division where they can emerge. This is, I think that division is wide open right now.
Well, hey, they go on the road and pull out a win here. I don't think they'll be under the radar much any longer. You go on the road, again, Cincinnati, a great team, a good team. It's all going to be about you beating Burrow and Chase and Higgins and this offense. they're gonna pop up and people are gonna respect them a little bit more. That's for sure. Link Hayward, Patriots, Miami. Your neck of the woods down in Tampa. What is going on? When's this guy getting fired down there in Miami?
Well, it can't be fast enough for the people down here in Miami. I can assure you that. I know this coach pretty well from being down here, and there's two reasons I think in my mind why he should not be coaching this football team. Number one is he always gets out-coached in the second half of football games. He does not make adjustments, and his football team gets completely obliterated in the second half of the games they play. That's not a good sign for a head coach. The other part of it is he cannot beat winning teams. How long are you going to live in the National Football League if you get obliterated in the second half and you can't beat winning teams? It's only a matter of time. So he's under, obviously, all the pressure in the world.
That's who. I thought your number 3 reason was because he wears my wife's capri pants when he coaches on the sidelines.
You should have texted me, Sean. I didn't know that.
I was like, we had the game on one of the things, and my son made a joke like to my daughter, like, "Hey, he's got your pants on, Lily." Oh man.
What do they call those joggers? Never trust a coach that wears joggers. Like when he first came in the league, he had his shtick, about how he was, made all these weird comments and during the press conference, and he's a smart dude. He really is, but just it worn out its welcome. I think he's over his head right now. He has had so much talent with this team, and he's done nothing with it. Granted, Tua, has been hurt off and on. I get that, but even when he's healthy, like he just can't get this team right for some reason.
Well, part of it's his fault, man. There's word that last year a ton of players were always late for practices. That's on the coach, and it starts in the locker room. Tyreek Hill, probably the leading candidate for the guy that set the example there that way. You got people in that locker room who shouldn't be in that locker room, and he doesn't discipline them enough. I'd have Tyreek Hill out of here as fast as I possibly could because he's nothing but a cancer. And all he does is whine, cry, and complain, and it just destroys the locker room. Like I say, that's another reason I think they're not beholden McDaniel down here right now.
Yeah. We're gonna go through these last few comments here as we wrap up. We're just about into an hour here, but like, share, subscribe. Be sure to put that notification bell on. Live show every Friday, 1:00. Matt, Mark, and myself. Let's K-State today, Arizona. Any thoughts? We did this K-State game earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Right.
We did that beginning there. In the Troy for the upset over Memphis. I mean, Troy started fast, then they got beat up in the second half here. Upset. I don't know if I can moneyline these guys. I don't know about that. And are there you guys' thoughts on Troy upset, or at least for a cover for the guy?
I did a podcast last night with Joe Lisi and Terry Bowden, the head coach. And what a great personality Terry Bowden is. I mean, he's full of stories just like his father was and all that stuff. And we began talking about why the teams like Troy and South Florida outperform against the big boys. And the reason they do is they are the redheaded stepchild in those states. The big guys take all the players, they recruited the players, and they didn't accept them. And they come with everything they've got. And you're talking about Troy always being that play, and that's why Troy is always as good as they are. They play over, above, and beyond their head. I don't know if they're going to do it this week, but that's the makeup that you have with the type of football team with Troy. I'm going to pass the game, but if they were playing a team from inside of Alabama, like an Auburn, perhaps per se, I might make a move there. But I'm going to pass on it. Their only win was against Nichols, and that didn't say a whole lot.
Yeah, Matt, anything on this one or not?
No, not really. I think, like Mark said, if it was like an Auburn or something like that from in-state, yeah, maybe. I think they gave it all they had last week. They were up 16-0, and the weather delay may have hindered that a little bit. Whatever. These weather delays. I don't know what's going on with these weather delays. There's like 10 every Saturday now. Like 10 years ago, there were none. Is all of a sudden there's more lightning in weather? All of a sudden,
I don't think there's more. I think they just do it for whatever. Even down here, in practice, like, oh, it's lightning. You got to go inside for an hour. And you see the flashes. Whatever. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no, I think they put it all on the table last week. They're a short dog against Memphis. Memphis is the favorites to win the AAC. No, I don't like laying the points with Memphis, but I don't want to take the points with Troy either. Coming off,
I agree.
They had a game in hand last week and they let us slip away.
I don't like this from Marc. It's just like the Cowboys, the most obvious play on the board. Yeah, that's a recipe. My Dallas -3. Now they're going to lose outright. Thank you, Marc, for the kiss of death. Thank you for that. There you go. That is the kiss of death, most obvious play on the board. Seattle pull an upset over the Steelers. Again, that was different, though. That was a Jet team looking for revenge against their old quarterback, and there's a lot of stuff more deeper than that into that one there. I'm not going to really get into holding that one game as a Steeler, how their defense is. I think that was kind of a fluky, crazy scoring game based on the situation between the quarterbacks facing each other, and they were on the other teams the last year and this and that kind of nonsense. I don't know. Seattle did not look good against the 49ers, that's for sure.
No, they got whooped a lot worse than that score said.
Yeah.
Now they got to travel to the other side of the coast, but I'm with you, Sean. I'm not a big Steeler fan at all. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, I've always contended his better days are long in the rearview mirror, and he's now touting himself off of how good he played his first game back. And, I don't think the players in the team like quarterbacks touting themselves per se, because he's taking all the admiration and giving none of the love to the players.
Yeah. Well, that's why I had the Jets as my $18 million pick in Circus Survivor. Needless to say, I lost the $18 million.
I mean, the Steelers got outgained pretty good last week against the Jets. And
Sean, there was 34 people that didn't put a pick in there last week. How about that?
How does that happen?
How many?
34. Is that just people thinking they sign up when they're with their friends and then they realize that I don't have a proxy? Well,
I think that's people who have stupid money and don't care, don't realize it. They were in Vegas at the time, and put me in that contest. I'll join the contest, and the season comes, and they've completely forgot they're in the contest. It's unbelievable.
Or Vegas got the best of them. They don't remember doing it.
That could be very well. What is this? What is this little plastic card I have here from Circa? I think it's a player's card. Mean, huh? Skywise, do you think the Chargers can cover against Tennessee? I don't know if they can cover against Tennessee, but against the Raiders this week, I think it'll be a little tougher battle. Chargers back from Brazil. They're in Vegas for whoa. We got the Rams up there. It's not the Rams. It's the Chargers. Throw that down there. Easy, Jim, back there. This guy, he's all pumped up because we haven't talked about Philly and KC. No one cares about that game. Raiders, thoughts on this?
I like the Raiders in the spot. I do.
I do too.
I do.
I think you could put it in as a Stanford versus USC. Put that in there instead of Chargers versus Raiders. Stanford USC. We'll bring it back to the old days between these coaches.
Right.
All right, we're over an hour here. Before we get here, anything you got? Any game you wanted to give away that you're solid about as a little free play here? I do keep a little track of our college football 5-3 plus 170 with our college football. Do you have a college football or NFL free pick you want to get behind and say, here you go for the record books?
Well, here's Sean. I'll give you a shocker, okay? And I love shockers. I was all over South Florida when they beat Florida. Again, that redhead stepchild deal in that football game. But I'm going to look real long and hard at Purdue against Southern Cal. It's a football program that's gotten out to a real good start with their new head coach, Barry Odom, who is nothing but a winner wherever he's been. He's always been really good against the spread. And this is a great spot here for Purdue against Southern Cal, a football team that maybe is playing a little bit better than perhaps expectations say they should have. I think it's a real nice spot for Purdue to take this game right down to the wire.
Purdue plus 20.5. And Matt Fargo's like, you know what? Screw your damn free pick, Kings. I'm out of here. Now, if I know what happened is, because we've seen this happen with Chip sometimes, you get a phone call and if you hit a button and the thing goes just totally off. All right. So Purdue for Marc here in college. I'll give an NFL play out here for this week. I'm going to say take the Titans plus 5.5. We'll go Titans plus 5.5 versus the Rams. Give me Tennessee. Ugly game in Denver. But I like this kid. I think he's got his head on straight. They're still a defensive first kind of club. The Rams I don't know where it's getting out of Rams. I think they're a hit away from Stafford from being just knocked out and Garoppolo coming in. Now, I get a full Garoppolo game, I'd be a little worried. That would screw up my handicap there. But give me Tennessee plus the 5.5 as my free pick here for the show here on Friday.
Well, what you've got working inside that game there, Sean, is this will be the first game east of the Mississippi for every starter on that Rams team because none of them played in the preseason, and they're going over to the other coast here right now to play to Tennessee east of the Mississippi. I agree with you. I like that play as well, Tennessee.
There we go. NFL football, again, slow start. We are 4-5, minus 160 with the free pick. College football, 5-3, plus 170. Marc likes Purdue plus a 20.5. I'm taking another home dog in the NFL, the Titans, plus 5.5. These are the free picks here. Again, like, subscribe, notification bell on, so you know when we come on here. Football Friday Live, 1 p.m. every week. Free pick videos daily, so check them out. And again, our best bets, our top plays, premium action at gamblersworld.net. Marc, you want to replay what you got for the weekend going on?
Yeah, I've got a big college football underdog game of the month going. That's another live dog that I think wins this whole game straight up. We've had a great record with these plays. In fact, of our winners, 80% of them have won the whole game, and I see that happening again Sunday. Another big play in the National Football League, another live dog that wins the whole game straight up.
Get Marc's best bets, top plays, gamblersworld.net, where you want to be. And I got you covered too. NFL, college football, baseball. Come check it out. It's all right there, documented. Win or lose, always the truth. No hiding from our records. For Matt Fargo, hopefully everything's all right and there wasn't a lightning strike or something out there. He's got a little weather delay where he's at. The lightning, maybe it's raining up there. Who knows? Marc, good you're back. Another great season ahead of us here. And I will see you next week, my friend.
Hey, looking forward to it, Sean. Best of luck to you this weekend. I look forward to doing the show once again with you here next week on this Gamblers World Net show. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks, everybody, for watching. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.